Doc. Well, why don't you, before we start off, guys, let me introduce my guest today. Today, I have with me the legendary, the amazing Dr. Richard Allen Miller. He really is a polymath. He did the first concept of, holographic reality in the 1970s. He studied with Bruce Lee. He played tennis with Arthur Ashe. He was a Navy SEAL. He trained the Navy SEALs. He trained the first team of Navy SEAls. He had an alien encounter with a being named Krill. I mean, he's an absolute legend, and I'm honored to have him here. And Doc, why don't you tell people your website so they know it's
yeah.
richardallenmiller.com, right?
Yes, it's my name, richardallenmiller.com, ALAN. There's so many Richard Allen Millers. It's a common name, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad to have you here, and thank you so much for coming on. How are you?
I'm good. Well, not really. Medicine is broken in Oregon. Health plan, especially for seniors. If you're over 65, you're non-productive. Why would we bother you? Look at my teeth. I have no teeth. I can't bite. I can't munch even because the only places where my teeth are hitting gums. And so
Can't they fix that for you? Can't they get you a partial or something like that?
A partial? I've gone to 3 people since April of this year. And orthopedic surgeons, well, we have to do an exam and that'll be $285. Well, I've had 3 of those.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
I'm gonna hold on a second. I want to just see who this is calling. Oh, this is yeah, Brett. I'm online. Can I call you when I'm finished with this podcast? Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. That was my webmaster. I've got more problems going on here that every single time I go to do anything, and we're not talking about, I mean, local, computer, storage, whatever, something is ahead of me, and I can't get there from here. And I don't think it's personal. I don't think it's, secret ops or something like that, because I'm a GS-18. I'm considered not only a legacy, I'm an asset. And GS-18 there were only 3 of us in history with that level of rank as a civilian in the military. And I'm the only one living still. And it means I don't report to anybody above me.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
No. It's, GS-12 is where I started at Boeing way back in the 70s. And a GS-14 is someone that has worked more than 20 years with the military. Now, I've done my on and offs with the military, but I'm a little different.
You're a legend. You're a legend. I think I'm going to keep the hat on because my hair is a little unruly today. But
oh, look at that! It's as black as anything. What kind of what is your blood type? What nationality are you?
My dad was Lebanese and Irish, and my mom was Greek and Italian.
Lebanese and Greek and Irish? Oh
yeah.
My God. A bunch of dead bodies behind you. I can't believe it. That's creepy.
Yeah.
Me, I don't have any hair anymore. It's all gone. I pulled it out. I used to have a ponytail. Remember when I had that ponytail?
Yeah, I remember that. You shaved it all off.
Huh? My last girlfriend, snip, just like she did my dick. And I couldn't believe it. It just I was with her 10 years. I haven't been allowed to talk to her in 3, and that's 13 years. And I'm still in love with her.
Wow. Yeah. I know what that is. Yeah.
Well, her son and her father, who died last month, didn't think I was worthy because of where I'm living right now. When I got sick with COVID, I had to move from a 4-bedroom home down to Peyton Place here. It's a trailer park with a bunch of bikers. And the bad news is they're Vagos, and I happen to be best friends with Hells Angels. And that has been going on, that war, for 3 generations. I was best man at the grandson's wedding, where I was his best man, and he's half Vagos and half Hells Angel. And they've been messing with me locally here so that I don't get involved in trying to rebuild and that nonsense of bikers being it. I went down 101, Coast 101 with Frank and Ken Kesey way back when in a book called Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. You'll see there's a guy in there that called a magician, and he's got martial arts. The bikers all loved me. That's way back when. And it's crazy. I got accused of something I didn't do. He did it. And I had to plead guilty to a misdemeanor to avoid going to prison.
Wow. What happened, Doc? Why did you have to do that? Like what?
Because when I asked the caretaker here at the trailer park to be a witness, he said he was afraid, and then the biker got ganged up on him. He's no longer here. I don't know what happened to him, but he was going to be their witness that I did something. What I did is, oh, by the way, you're a liar, is what I said to him in his face. And he started screaming at me. And within 10 minutes, I just walked away. I don't fight. You know, I'm martial arts. I've only been in one fight outside a ring, and that was when I got expelled the first day of high school. I don't fight. Yeah. Well, I'm disciplined. You know, I was world champion with double sword in Peking when we boxed for the U.S. team. And I can tell you, I got to get out of here. I don't want to be here. You know, it's not fun at all. Where are you located? You're in Texas?
Pittsburgh, PA.
Oh, Pittsburgh.
It's brutal right here. The weather's brutal right here right now, Doc. It's yeah.
It's what, like?
I did say the weather, right? It says right now it's 35 degrees, but it's colder than that. And this studio doesn't heat up. This studio doesn't
had a wind chill factor. I remember because I did a lot of the Amish. I would go over to Carlisle. I lived in Newark, Delaware, and used to race my sports cars around the Brandywine. And when I was in grad school, Princeton, MIT, and Pittsburgh is actually farm community, isn't it? As I remembered it, it was a farm.
There's a city, but outside of it, yeah, there's a large farm community.
Not Philadelphia. I made American Bandstand in Philadelphia when I won the swing contest in Washington.
Wow.
And here's a Ricky, and he comes spinning out. I did dance. I worked and taught for the House of Leon. My dad put me into ballet and tap dancing and everything. So as part of my training, and he enrolled me down in Chinatown in Seattle with John Leon. And John only had 4 students. There was Bruce Lee, Skip Ellsworth, Fred Williams, and me. Fred Williams was this giant afro man. The only way you could take him is you didn't let him touch you, and you just wear him out. And then,
wow. What was it like training with Bruce Lee? Did you get to know Bruce Lee well?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was before he went back to China and studied with Ip Man. John Leong, I think I was blessed. My father, who is to know? And when I finished with John Leong with my Hangao, it was my form, Hangao, Northern Shaolin, and Bruce Lee was Wing Chun. John Leong did it all. He was different than Ip Man. I think that John Leong might have been the best in that form, probably the best ever in history. Now, Bruce Lee, what made him good was he was real fast.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, and it went that fast, And, you slap, jab, wang, and my form was not attacking in that if you hit my right shoulder, boom, I just used your energy and went right through your rib.
Wow. I love that.
It's a northern form. The southern Hungar, different, and everything I did was in circles. Bam.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess today we're going to get into 3i Atlas, huh? You wanted to talk a little bit about 3i Atlas. What's going on with that?
Grab some notes here. I'm going to do this from a science point of view so that I'm going to speculate and blah, blah, what ifs. But 3I Atlas is only the third object that we've ever been able to study that came from outside our solar system. Everything else has been inside. It's debris and this and everything. But we've only had 3 items go through our solar system in recorded history this epoch, and it's behaving unusual. And someone, he said, it just hit orbit, came closest to the United States yesterday morning, and someone said it stopped. I don't know. I haven't researched that part. What I'm going to talk about is what I do know. We're uncertain of its origins. That means we don't know if it's an alien life or an alien ship, and there's no confirmation that it is. There's no confirmation that this is a living object. It's acting weird in some ways compared to a typical comet. You know, a comet is pretty well predicted. It has a certain kind of a tail, and when it goes by something, it changes and blah, blah, blah. But we're still studying this. And most explain its behavior as natural for an interstellar object. Oh, well, is that true? I don't know. It's intriguing and unusual, but there's no evidence to point at this time to point to artificial origins right now. Now, it's done some things that might lead you to that, and we're going to talk about those next. One thing that's weird, when it went by the sun burped at it and actually shot at it like a life form trying to shoot a fox or a coyote. You know, it shot a CME, burst at the thing, and it was like a solar flare, coronal mass ejection, burp, you know, like a big burp went out at it, and directed directly at the object. And that was pretty weird. And what was really even more weird is the object absorbed all the energy and was virtually no effect on the object. It didn't change its speed, path, anything. How's that work? Coronal mass ejection, when it hits the Earth, you know, it causes the entire Earth to move. So unlike some comets that lose their tails temporarily or show a big disruption from a CMA directed at the object, this showed minimal changes. And it went bright a little bit, and then it just kept going with no that. Now, the only thing that could do is if it had a heavy mass inside it, you know, like nickel, like Earth does. And then that might do it, but, or something else. And we'll talk about that next. This is as if it is a spacecraft, it could have absorbed that energy, like advanced shielding, taking in the plasma without damage. Or the sun could have been a gas station and it was fueling up. Or the material it's made out could be produced by technology inside the field. Interaction, literally, like it's using a technology we don't have yet, like a black hole, to convert the CMA into energy rather than allowing it to have it affect itself. What do you think about that? I don't know yet.
It's interesting. You know, I've heard a lot of different theories on what it is, you know, and I really think it's here for a reason because it's really got the public like mind stirring, you know. It's like it's really
Well, there's a reason that its attention is because it could be a witness because the petri dish is about to be recycled. The study I did, and I've talked about this before, I went back 5 epochs, 12,000, 12,000, 12,000. And the last 5 epochs, this is the 6th epoch, the last 5, there were no written records. It's that heavy duty. And what I had to do was work with geology. And the study I did, that was back in 74 under Nixon, gave it a 3 sigma error coefficient. That means a 99 0.975% probability of the event occurring. You can count on it. It's like a Carrington-like event where Alaska's joined with Siberia, and now it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that heavy.
So do you believe that like the Earth was once Pangea, like we were one big continent, and then the continents like split off into different ones? Is that what you think?
Oh, we don't really know. We can speculate, and there's a lot of that, but there's way more going on here. For example, in 1983, I took a team of 12 NASA scientists to Mars. That's part of the Diamond Body series that I'm writing right now. What I essentially did was I created a wormhole, and with my mind's eye, as a different form of space than physical space, which is a construct, it's not real. And physical space is so toxic that when I was at mission control with Ed Mitchell, just going through the Van Allen belt and around the moon and back, nothing, just not even outside their little prison here. He lost 10 years of his life. He'll never have children again. I mean, it goes right on down in terms of the effect of gamma rays, neutrinos, and other kinds of things. There's no way to shield. And nothing made it to Mars. We've tried several dogs and other things like that. They're dead on arrival. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. The little pieces that we observe breaking off at some point. Remember when it broke down and gave off a whole bunch of little pieces?
Yeah.
Those these could be small vehicles or drones.
Wow.
This is speculative, much like, I don't know, people see visiting Earth with a flying sphere of light around it in the skies. And 50% of the Earth, of Americans now believe that we've had some form of alien concept. I want to say something right now. Anything with a face, two arms, and two legs, including little green men from Mars, is a carbon-based life form. Okay?
Wow. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
carbon-based. That means it's our future. And
Yeah.
one of the things that at my counter at Groom Lake with Krill, just before she left, disappeared, whatever. That's really weird. I think she was my future programming me.
Wow.
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, we're about to go into a major event, and the kids in high school are so dependent on their AI. They're letting it think for them, and they're dumbing them down. Even if we didn't have an event, within 4 generations of them, we're back in the Stone Age. I mean, get a grip.
I agree.
So I've started a program that I could use some help with. I have a shopping list of skill sets, budgets, and other things I need. I'm setting up 6 demonstration farms in 6 locations of the United States. I've got 3 of them in place right now that are demonstration farms for cloning. Because when the grid goes down, your zombie will be that high school kid that's hungry. And if you think he gives a damn about you, you're crazy, man. They don't have it's different.
Yeah.
And I'm really concerned. And so one of the things I want to do with the demonstration farm is bring in younger children and teach them how to farm, not garden. That's creepy. Gardening isn't what you need. What you need is a local production of food. If you're producing 40% of the food you consume, you can barter the rest of it. And the 6 locations are like tropical. I have one in the center of Florida. When I was at that, I was going to tell you about that vaping thing. You do not want to vape. It's worse than cigarettes and marijuana by an order of magnitude. The more smoke you see, the larger the particle. The larger the particle, the more damage to the lung. Make a note.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta quit that. Yeah.
Well, if you want to quit, just do it. Use hypnosis.
Yeah.
You do not want to vape. You like that blowing out smoke? That means you're dying because it's going to have a lung thing. And how am I doing for 82? Other than my teeth, and I can't hear any. Oh, and I'm blind. Oh, and I'm dating Uncle Fester's sister. girlfriend's sister. She likes to dance. Yeah. Nah, I eat well. I'm O negatives, which means I have to eat meat. The last of my teeth fell out just before Thanksgiving. I had to take my turkey and my mashed potatoes and gravy, and I threw it in a big blender with some eggnog. Drank it. Well, that's all I can do.
I feel bad, Doc. I really do. Like, you shouldn't have to be going through what you go through. You're a legend to this community, you know?
Well, yeah, but in this state, when you're after 65, you're just a drain on society. Now I produce, and I'm still writing. My purpose, believe this or not, is to complete 147 unfinished manuscripts.
147 manuscripts?
Right. And my intent is to leave things better than I found them. So I'm invited back.
Yeah.
The way I do it. Now, the 147 manuscripts are like electro magic, where I broke a code and showed in 1979 that it was your immune system's response that got you high, not the drug. Like when you find dimethyltryptamine in crabgrass, that's like a delivery system from God. That's not about chemistry. There's something else going on here. And what's in crabgrass is 5-alpha. You smoke it in a little pipe. Steve Blake made the first of it. And it's 5-alpha dimethyltryptamine. And what happens is your immune system goes into red alert and it produces and releases N, N hyphen dimethyltryptamine. And that's what goes, oh, wow, man. However,
wait a minute. Is that in crabgrass? You said DMT's in crabgrass?
Yeah, that's how they make dimethyltryptamine, 5-alpha. Yeah, for druggies. I was doing lunar base alpha 1 for Boeing, growing pot on the moon. That's a nice article. I was back in 1968. I did an indica variety, and let me tell you, it was fatter than it was tall. It was only about 5.5 feet tall, and maybe 6.5 feet wide, and the buds on it were smaller. And you go up to, and the only thing I've ever had that was better than that was Temple Ball in Kathmandu. You go in with the bikers and get these Temple Balls, that hashish. But and all the hybrids that you're doing now, it's not the same. I did mushrooms. I wrote the first psychedelic mushroom book for High Times. Magical Mushroom Handbook. That's mine. And I did legal highs, and I can give you how to take crabgrass. I'll give you a recipe. You can get that in what is that? That's I helped write that one. What was that? What book was that? It's Anarchist Cookbook. Yes.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now I do pharmaceutical mushrooms, and I have a brand new delivery system in pharmacy. Instead of when you have an abscess tooth, you have to take an antibiotic. It goes down into the gut, digest. You get about 28% of the chemistry. The rest of it's gone into turds, and it murders everything on the way up. And what I did is I took Cordyceps sinensis, a hybrid form of pharmaceutical mushroom that have polysaccharides. These are sugars, beta-glucans, and polysaccharides, maybe 100 oxygen molecules. And I ran it through a jet engine at Mach 2, like they do chicken manure. And what it did is it knocked it down to 400 nanometer. And you put a single drop on your tooth, it falls right down through the cell wall and goes right straight to ATP. And within 2 hours, the abscess is gone.
Wow.
How come they're not doing that in pharmacy?
That's amazing, Doc. That could help a lot of people,
Well, yeah, that's what I do. I want to be welcome back. I want to leave things better than I found them. And the bad news is, why would I want to do 147 manuscripts when I know that this epoch coming up tomorrow morning, for example, probably, I mean, Mount Rainier's, Mount Shasta are both throwing ash this morning again, and Yellowstone is getting ready to blow. And this time when it does, no. Yeah, you go ahead and laugh until it isn't any. Watch what happens in Pittsburgh.
I know.
And the 15-minute cities. Did you see in the news? There was 2 days ago when a large group of high school kids raided Woolworths or something. They gutted the place. There were about 40 or 50 kids that went in and just decimated the place.
Wow.
That's what's going to play with your 15-minute cities. You can count on it.
Wow. And they're doing that by design, probably, right?
What's that?
They're probably doing that by design.
Everything leads to the slaughterhouse. Your cell phone. At 5G, we were talking about toxicity and LD50 ratios. Well, then T-Mobile came in and said, well, charge on the fly. We'll make it so you don't have to wait a long time to get your phone charged. 6G. And you'll notice how it got hot. Well, at 7.3 gigahertz, turns into an 8-foot bomb. Boom. And it has GPS that you can't turn off. It's always on, so they know where you are. And they want to get me that's not having a cell phone. They just wait until you're near me. Boom.
Yeah. You know what? Karen's in the audience today. Karen McDonald's in the audience. She has a bunch of questions for you. And I should have just had Karen come on. I didn't know she'd be able to come on this earlier if she'd want to. So,
what's this? Say.
I said Karen McDonald's in the audience right now. I'll hold my microphone.
I really like her. She's up in Canada, and she's on some fault lines. I mean, there's fault lines everywhere, and you need to know where you're hanging out.
Yeah. She has a bunch of questions. She says, can I ask her questions?
Sure.
She says, one of her questions is, she says, is Rick aware that we may have a gamma rad burst coming? She says, using on the pink screwworms issue.
We have a what?
A gamma rad burst coming, she says.
Yeah, that came off what does it take? 8 hours? I didn't know that there was another one. There was one 2 days ago. The sun is actually burping heavy duty now. And the 3i Atlas might be our future monitoring how they nurture the past to develop. Let's do it this way. Supposing the future is using the past to develop all the different parts of spaceflight. Like we've been here before, like for Mana, and now we have rocket ships, and who knows what your dream will create the next seventh epoch. How's that one sound?
Yeah,
because who cares? You're already dead, right? It doesn't matter. You're just dreaming. Consciousness is not real. It's a dream state, and it actually is a dream within a dream, because lucid dreaming has more content to reality than consciousness does. What does that mean? Wakey, full of Croc Dundee. Wakey. And I know I don't know. And here's the bad news. It isn't my physics that makes something real. It's your imagination, because this is a dream state. And anything you can possibly imagine is true is not only true, it's even more than that. And that's why I'm going to say one of the most important things I'm going to be remembered on my different quotes. Man has a responsibility for the thoughts he chooses to entertain. And that's why all your saints in history have stressed the importance of meditation and training the mind. Magic with a C, early magic, is Harry in your pocket, sleight of hand. Magic with a K is sleight of mind, where you use your belief system as a tool to accomplish your purpose. You change your belief system so you can get your thing done, then you change it back again like you would a pair of clothing. That's Robert Monroe and the Brain Drivers. And I'm telling you, I gave the SEAL program 8 altered states, and it turned them into Superman. What would happen if I were able to master 200 altered states? The laws of physics are different. For example, when I go to the Y, this is one of them I gave the SEAL program. If you listen to your breathing, you can change your perception of time because of the echoing and so on, laying in the water, and your experience of time slows down. In that state, you can take your martial art to a paranormal level.
Yeah, like the 1 inch punch, like Bruce Lee's 1 inch punch.
Well, it isn't. Whoa. It's in a big swing.
Yeah.
Wham! Doesn't matter where they are. Where in karate, you have to go straight in to get the full punch. If you use your body and you work in a circle, doesn't matter where they are. They're all gone.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
no,
I did martial arts for a long time, part of my life. I did boxing and
what
taekwondo, and then
form? Were you
I was on the
boxing?
wrestling team, and I
Yeah.
did all kinds of stuff. I was always. This is the only time in my life where I've been this out of shape. I've been. I don't know.
Well, listen to this one. So the first day of high school, third period, I'm in showers, coming out of the showers. I'm naked, gonna go get my clothes on. And the senior, I'm a freshman, is a giant up there, and came in, I hear you're a kick-ass, blah, blah, blah. I looked up at him, and he hit me in the face.
Wow.
And I looked at him because I couldn't take him. I mean, wait, it's the difference, right? I could hit him all as hard as I can and he wouldn't even notice it. So when he laughed and started walking out, I picked up a baseball bat and I broke his head open. And
Holy shit.
I did that. I was expelled from school. When I came back and he was out of the hospital, I nearly killed him. He lifted out in the parking lot. I lifted one arm and he was going to do me. And I just looked at him and said, you better do a good job. I'll get you again. I never got bullied again. I was allowed to be a nerd. Everybody didn't know what I was going to do. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
When I was boxing for the U.S. team in Peking, I was one of only 4 that won my match. And the only reason I won it, I took the referee out when I went into the ring. I just, well, I'm not going to fight 2 people. Get a grip. I mean, everybody got up and all tight. And I just said, I'll fight him, not them.
Yeah. So, Doc, let me ask you this: did you want to go? We had another question from Karen. She had a bunch of questions. I'm trying to
Oh,
ask.
yeah. Well, Karen should do his own interview with me. Okay. Yes, go ahead, please.
She wanted to know if you could talk about your involvement in your part in the first Star Nations in BC, Canada.
My first Indian?
The Star Nations of BC, Canada.
Uh, I'm not sure what she's referring to. In Salmon Arm, um, Tom and Lloyd Lay, Shuswap, wanted me to be their brother. And David Forlans was the medicine man at that time on the Ho River. And so they had me run the gauntlet. And I didn't run it, I walked it. And only one person got me, and he was marginal, but he was real good. So he got me. But otherwise, I just watched the blow go by me. And so my Indian name was the Ghost Who Walks. The Northern Cheyenne saw that and made me a roadman in Washington State, and I did the 2 sanctioned peyote rituals as a roadman for the Northern Cheyenne. And then I started studying under Strong Eagle, who come down he was up in the Quileute area of Canada. The Quileutes are, well, he was they're a tribe in coastal BC, and I went through a thing called Hole in the Wall that was carved maybe 100 years earlier, and you could only get on this beach to get on the beach you had to have a BIA card. And I was teaching shamanism at the time, the UW. I had studied with Mercy Eliade in Idaho, and so I was teaching that, and I learned all the songs and dances for Sitka. I hold those songs and dances for them, which makes me a medicine man. But I'm not a big deal. It's just like, here's one. They're out at the very tip up near Tatoosh Island. There's a series of arches, and out in the water. And one of them is a huge arch, and then there's a smaller one that has a cave in it or a hole through it. That when the tide's just right, water goes in and out of with it going back and forth. And what that was about is that's how the ocean got its salt, because the baby couldn't catch up with mom.
Wow.
That's the kind of stuff I remember. That's called medicine. And medicine is your history and what makes you uniquely different, which those tribes up there have their medicine. Down here in Oregon, where I am, the Grand Ronds, Silettes, and some of the others have lost their medicine when the gold diggers came in. They do gambling, casinos, and shit like that, but it isn't the same. And there's an elegance in American industry. I taught at Shiprock for a few years. I got to know Hopi, and I knew Thomas Banaka real well. And there's a legend that'll be in my book, which is called not the SEAL paper, the SEAL reports. It's Spook Central and the work I did with Dr. Carl Schleicher. And when Jim Morrison, this is a true story. When Jim Morrison was 10 years old, his parents were driving through New Mexico, and current medicine man at that time from the Hopi tribe died. And he had an entity inside him called a rider. And what it is, it's like the demon things you see with Pierce Brosnan or that black guy that had a demon in him. I can't remember what it is, but basically what a rider is a recorder. It doesn't interfere with your path or what you're doing, but it records things. And when you die, it moves to the nearest, closest, youngest thing. And that's what happened to Jim Morrison. And that meant that Jim Morrison did not die in Paris, like everybody said. And the Swedish Secret Service smuggled him out and had him down in, where was it, Louisiana. I went down there, and there he is, a fat Jim Morrison working at a laser company because he had this writer or recorder. And that's why a lot of his songs were about that thing, about that recorder. It's an entity that there's other life forms on Earth that we don't even know about. And what I was doing was documenting one of them for Dr. Carl Schleicher. It was MRU, he was a Nazi. The other Nazi that was von Braun, and that's Carol Rosin. She, down the street, worked on the secret space program and that kind of thing. I don't know if that's what Karen wants to know about.
What do you think our secret space program's involvement is with 3i Atlas? Do you think they have any involvement with it?
I know that China is already following it closely in space. We aren't as evolved in our space program as we would like to think we are, and China is ahead of us in that regard. We're monitoring it with all kinds of beacons and things like that, even over by Mars. From an astronomical point of view, the comet originated in the direction of Sagittarius constellation near the galactic center, our Milky Way's supermassive black hole. On December 19th, yesterday, sorry, it's closest to Earth, and I heard it slowed down and stopped. Now, if it did that, that's our future monitoring what is about to happen to us. I don't think I don't know. I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah, Greg B in the audience wants me to say, he says, Robert, can you please ask him about the ancient calendar cycles question? So wait, let me go back and see. So I'll ask your question, Greg. He says, Greg says, Robert, can you please ask him about the ancient calendar cycles question? So I got to find this question and see what he asked about. Do you know anything about ancient calendar cycles? Is that
we've had astrology turned into astronomy, and astronomy back in the 70s, that the public's not aware of it yet, it's no longer astronomy, it's called cosmobiology. And that's on the geometric alignment of celestial bodies on biological processes. How geometry of the stars and planets and so on affect, like when a woman is born, engram set on her DNA on when she ovulates. And because it changes with the phase of the moon, if she moves on Earth, that distance will change her ovulation cycle. Now we have birth control. And that's the new direction in astronomy and geometry. And when I said that there's a magnetic pole shift, and all the planets have shifted, it might not be that's what's really happening. When I flew over the Oregon vortex in a PBY with an interferometer, what bends light at 15,000 feet?
Wow.
Pole. And I'm going to suggest that the Bermuda Triangle and the ley lines are a series of mini black holes on Earth that cause the Earth to go into the out of every 12,000 years. And basically, everything in our solar system, everything in our galaxy, all stars are binary. And with a black hole, you have a white hole at the other end. And I'm going to guess that metaphor stands with Nibiru and Planet X and whatever. I don't know that. That's what my gut says. And here's the bad news. I'll never really know how it works because it doesn't work like that. It's like Simon says I can go halfway to the door. No cigar. I can get real close, but it's your imagination, not my physics, that makes something real. Mine's eye.
I agree.
So, that doesn't mean I'm right. I'm just real good in my physics end and try to wear that mask so I have credibility. Every reproducibility, repeatability. That's what I'm seeking. Being able to use a concept consistently. Uri Geller cheated. I caught him cheating throughout all that work that Andrea Puharich did. And I felt really bad. And here's the last thing I'd like to say before we call this a day. SRI is run down by Puthoff and they're not Andrea Puharich. Puharich was my teacher. And remote viewing is different than astral projection. And why you do a circle of protection as a metaphor when you're doing any kind of ritual is because everything inside that circle is you, and everything outside that circle is not you. That means when a shaman on a prototaxic mode of consciousness places his consciousness in an eagle and sees what the eagle says, he's outside the circle and the eagle looks back at him. Who knows what's looking back at remote viewers? It's not safe. Targan Puthoff, yeah. It's Russell Targan Puthoff. Those guys are dangerous. And it's an astral cord that defines who you are. And by the way, Saturn has exactly the same geometry I used in the diamond body to create a wormhole, which means our solar system is a life form. And if you don't think NASA doesn't want to know where that wormhole goes, I'm not kidding. It's what you would call a Stargate. It's a geometry that folds into itself. You do it in your mind's eye, and if you can do it, it takes discipline. It's really difficult to do this. It's not just simple. It's a lot of work. I have been writing in a daily diary since 1972, right to left brain. And 1979, I started meditating. I do Sant Mat, but I started with Ananda Marga. All your saints in history have stressed the importance of training the mind, to use it as a tool. It's not, there's more going on than any of us have a clue. Trust me when I say that. I know I don't know.
I agree. Well, one thing I wanted to do, Doc, before you go is, can you tell people about your books, like what books you have out and how people can buy your books and how they can support your work?
You're trying to help me. Yeah, I have everything now. This, I have my website's just been redone by Brett Beggett, and he was Veterans Today and Gordon Dunn Duff for 15 years. He did it websites. And then he came over and he's helping me, and he's doing a really nice job. You'd go to my store, richardallenmiller.com, go to the store, and then you'll see all the books I've written to date. I have more books than anyone I know, including Shakespeare. And I've got lots more where that came from. That's what I am, man. I didn't know I was a writer, where I can take a concept, physics, and then plant it in your mind's eye so that you get how that might work. Like I just did with wormholes and stargates and mini black holes. We get to a certain level, and then they wipe the petri dish again. And, the thing that bothers me the most is that we don't have free will. Free will would imply full disclosure. We don't have that. We don't have that on a local level with our government. So what's that mean? Yeah. It means you have true will, and what you want to do is know who you are, because what's right for you isn't necessarily right for someone else. And that's one of the reasons Jesus Christ said, the only person you can judge is yourself. Now, was he inspired by God? Yeah, so am I. I'm a fourth plane mystic. Christ probably was a fifth plane mystic. I have met fifth plane mystics. That's who initiated me into Satmat, was Sharon Singh. And he was fifth plane. I'll never be there. I can't do that. That's someone that comes back to do Siva for men. And I'm trying to do it by finishing what I did for research, to put a mark in history that changes the direction of why we do what we do. Intent and purpose. Why did you choose to be here, and how are you going to do it? It isn't who you are, but what you do defines who you are.
Wow. And they can find all your books at richardallenmiller.com, and they should support your work, because you're a legend in our community, and like I feel like people really should be supporting your, get your books and support your work,
Every time I do a radio, something weird happens. For example, I just did John B. Wells, but he put up a wrong website.
Well, that's why we have 60 people watching on YouTube right now, and 20 or 30 watching on Rumble. So
I do donations and things, but I always want to give more than I receive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I've lowered prices on my books. I put sets together because it costs more to ship a book into Canada than the book itself costs. So I dumb it down to 5 books for the same price. Now they're getting a bit of a bargain, like the Power Tools series, 5-book series. That's a good set. And the farming books, I've done that the same way, or I'm making specials, going into Europe and so on. What I need is a whole bunch of skill sets. I'm ready to go back and make a dent in the world before, because IQ is not intelligence. It's adaptability. EQ is what I experienced with Krill. And man hasn't even begun to get close to that concept.
Wait, I've got to ask you about something. And guys, for people that are, I got to ask you one more question. This is important. Karen just told me this. Karen said you were with James Rink at the conference last month. I was friends with James Rink. I had him on my show a bunch of times. Like, and a lot of people have come on.
I think he was murdered. He died within a week or so after I left Orlando.
Wow. What was going on, do you think? Like, what do you think happened if you had to
I don't. I didn't even know him until he invited me there. He's been doing these super soldier conferences, and then he met me because I'm the guy that did it. And we didn't call them super soldiers, we call them supermen. And it was the current SEAL program that I did it with, when I gave them 8 altered states. I was SEAL Team 1 was selected by ESP. I measured. I wanted people that were in touch with themselves, and that was SEAL Team 1. We did measure their ability, psychic ability, and if they were high, that was a program. SEAL Team 3 and 4. When I turned it over to the military, SEAL Team 5, that's when they started losing their people. The military doesn't do it like I would have done it. And I worked for SEAL Corp out of Amherst.
Yeah.
I was in anesthesiology at the University of Washington. Rick Strassman took some of my work on dimethyltryptamine and has gone further with it than I have. And if you're interested in that direction of consciousness, the third eye, that's where my meditation starts. What happens is I leave my body and I go home from like death. I go home and go to a place called Khan.
Yeah, I just want to announce this. I got my calendar here, guys. So for everybody we have a big audience now. So for the 60 people that are watching, I'm going to be live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. I have Jay Skyrunner and his partner Maya coming on. They're a new podcast team. And then at 10 p.m. Eastern, I have Oksana Buchanan and Priscilla coming on, and they're going to share some of their memories of James Rink. So, that'll
James Rink was a nice person. I really liked him, but I didn't go out and party hardy with him. I went home as an old man and slept on the couch. They'd come in at 3 or 4 in the morning and have to be up at 6, like I get up at 6.
Yeah. Did you have fun at the conference, though?
What's that, sir?
Did you have fun at the conference?
I met a lot of really nice people. There were a bunch of wealthy women that wanted to have me stay there. And I'm not going to live in Florida. No. I'm not going to live in Pittsburgh. You don't want
to live here. It's Doc. The weather's brutal here right now. It's absolutely brutal.
And I know that the colder it is, the less people there are because they like it warm. And so the snow doesn't bother me. I like 4 seasons, and I'm a hunter. And when I was up in Edmonton, I was watching a moose run through 6 feet of powder. The moose was bigger than 6 feet. And it was running through it, and his mane throwing the snow back and forth. That was magnificent.
Wow.
You've never, Canada.
Carolyn,
Canada is a territory. That's even more interesting.
And I know about this, but for the audience that's watching, since we have a lot of people watching, can you tell people about your hat and logo?
My hat?
It's the Navy SEALs, Naval Intelligence, guys. That's amazing.
And look at it. God we trust. All others we monitor. Yeah. I do that as a logo so that people recognize me.
Yeah. You're an absolute legend, and you're welcome on here anytime. I
hope I could go dark, I would. The only reason I do this is to sell my books. Amazon is
that's what I was saying. I hope we get you a lot of book sales. Like, guys, like everybody that's watching right now for Christmas, go help out Doc Ram and get one of his books.
Donations are for the children. I've saved all of my laboratory equipment that I have. I have a huge, over $400,000 in laboratory equipment and storage for the Children's University for gifted children. And I'm going to do it similar to what Waldorf did. My great-grandfather was one of the lodge masters. He didn't start Waldorf, but he was one of the Nelsons and ran Waldorf in the 20s. I currently work with them on gifted children directly. I had a 12-year-old doing his doctorate at Cornell in organic chemistry. What could I possibly do with that kid? We wrote a comic book together.
That's cool.
Yeah. Kid was more excited about the comic than he was his doctoral thesis. Of course he was.
That's so cool, Doc. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to just tell your website one more time before we go? And thank you.
Yeah, richardallenmiller.com. It's real simple. And if you write Dr. Richard Allen Miller, you'll find me all over the internet. I haven't done Wikipedia. I need people. I need a literary agent. I need a booking agent. My literary agent was Bernard Shercliffe. When Bernard, he was the Time Warner editor and Mad Magazine. And when he retired out of New York City, he moved to Berlin, Oregon, which is just down the street. And we chanced to meet each other. When he met me, he came out of retirement and taught me how to write a screenplay and a workup. And I did a workup called PsyOps. And Fox said there were too many people. They didn't think it was going to work very well. So I had to trim it down to 2 people. And that's when it was called X-Files. And I did the first 8 episodes. It was a success. They wanted me to move to Hollywood. I said, no. I'd already done cocaine and swinging. I knew what I didn't want to do. Well, you go ahead and laugh, but, I been there, done that. And now I know what I don't want to do. And, so where am I now? I'm just a grumpy old man. I can't even do Monty Python anymore. Come back. I can still bite. Can't even do that now. And they won't take care of me. Back in May, they knew I had to have all my teeth removed. This is December. Now they're talking about May next year. What am I going to do? Drink dinner all that time? And I'm in a lot of pain?
Yeah, and guys, like if anybody is out there and anybody knows any like dental professionals who are willing to help, if you're in the field of dentistry and you feel like you can help Doc Ram, like reach out to him because like we want to get him some help for his teeth too. Yeah, like let's see if we can get him some.
We have WellCare and welfare here, and welfare they're closing welfare down. It's going to become WellCare, and there are 4 parts to it. With pharmacy and dentistry and medicine and so on. And the medicine is okay in the state. If I went into emergency with sciatica, I was in pain beyond anything, and they gave me prednisone, a single pill of prednisone. It took care of the inflammation in my body, then took care of it. But then what they did is they gave me Oxycontin just in case the pain comes back. I don't want that. I give it to my drug friends, But dentistry, I can't find anyone. I don't have any money to pay for that. I'm already in debt because of my 3 flat tires that I had on my new Mustang. They totaled my 280Z, so I went out and bought a Winnebago and a Mustang, older. My Winnebago is only 6 miles to a gallon, which means I'm limited on where I can go with it because it's expensive to drive it, but it's in mint condition, and I've got a gun port on it. Plus, I've got 3 aircraft that can fly perimeter, so I know routes with alternatives in case I'm going to move a convoy from one bunker to the next. And we're setting it up across the country and up in Canada using shortwave. That's all starting to go into place right now. And at 5, 4, 3, it's going to happen real soon.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Doc. Honestly, I love doing these shows with you. You're a legend, and we really appreciate you. And thank
well, no tongue, please.
All right. Well, that's it. I'll see you guys tonight. I'll see everybody tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern and 10